There have been a number of stories about poverty in the UK, and there's been more than a few that I wanted to cover on this channel just since Christmas. But going through the details, it's just heartbreaking. The UN report last year in 2018 on poverty in the UK was devastating, or at least that's what I think. Clearly, Tory MPs and Conservative MPs don't think the same thing at all, as it was initially met with denial and people that just don't care. Well, this year, the start of it, and we're only a few days in, Labour Shadow Minister for Children Emma Leward-Buck, I hope I said your name right, hosted a debate about the UN report, which is brilliant. You want people to talk about this. You need to force politicians to actually deal with this issue because they simply refuse to, even fobbing off the I. Daniel Blake as something that's not grounded in reality. I mean, you are a special kind of moron if you think it has no grounds in reality when it is the harsh truth of so many people in this country. But that seems to be Tory ministers. But back to the debate. Now, as a misconception, as a child, I thought Parliament was always full of politicians debating. And as I got a little bit older and I started learning a few more things about politics, I suddenly realised, okay, doesn't happen. But when it's important, that's when they're all in there. This jockeys for first position with importance when it comes to politics in the UK, because austerity is killing us. And I say it's jockeying because Brexit is going to be the final nail in the coffin. But for this debate, there are only 14 members of Parliament there. 14 elected officials. Now, last year, Charlie Elfrich claimed over £100,000 back because he needed that to do his job and to go to Parliament and everything else. Well, he wasn't there for this. And we see this time and time again. Tory and Conservative members of Parliament and even Tory Labour members of Parliament go on and claim so much money back when they're clearly not doing their damn job. Poverty in the UK is at a repulsive level. Now, we're not all sleeping in boxes, but a man in full-time employment had to sleep rough and died on the steps of Parliament. That's something that can't be fobbed off, even though Tory MPs are denying it. I will leave a link to this article down below. It's from Univsercal Credit Surfer. They have a Facebook page and a Twitter address, and I will also link them down below as well. I mean, even Amber Rudd didn't turn up. Now, I get it. If you're the head of anything, fine. But Amber Rudd is now taking credit for halting the Univsercal Credit rollout, despite the fact that it was agreed a few months ago that it would be halted. So what exactly is she doing? Because she's not doing anything productive. And yet she couldn't even be bothered to turn up and discuss the UN report that she initially fobbed off as fantasy. This happens time and time again. And I don't want to get too much on my soapbox here, but what it comes down to is voting. Now, I get people that get disenfranchised and pissed off, and because of that, they don't want to vote. But here's the thing. If you vote for right-leaning politicians, this is a price that you have to pay. Now, we can have a debate all day long about which way is the best way to govern a country and which policies are the best policies to have, but it's a demonstrable fact. Right-wing politicians look after their own interests, look after the wealthy, and ignore future generations. That's what we've had since 2000. Well, It's what we had with Tony Blair, who was a Tory, and it's what got so much worse in 2010 when the Conservative Tories took over. But if you don't vote, these people don't go away, because the rich and the wealthy still vote, and they vote for the people who look after their interests. If you don't vote at all, oil companies get to dictate what happens because they give politicians more money than anyone else. It's so important to know who runs in your area, and if no one you think upholds your values is running, then you should run yourself, or you should find someone who you can back, because this can't continue. This is a blatant attack on the people, and people like Amber Rudd, Esther McVeigh, even Theresa May, who now comes out and in a tweet promotes and praises people who work in social care, and at the same time she's doing this, she's gutting the funding for social care, praises people who work in the NHS, and at the same time guts it. Her long-term plan is devastating, and Matthew Hancock, you shrill of a human being, how can you look at yourself in the mirror? It matters. This matters. Again, I will leave the links down below. Please read. It's a shocking revelation of just how little our politicians care.